On January 26, 1991, a quiet January afternoon in the small New Mexico community of Chimayó turned into one of the deadliest single days in the county's modern history. A domestic breakup exploded into mass murder. In the end, 7 people were dead, and many others were left shocked and grieving. The suspect was Ricky Abeyta, a 29-year-old construction worker whom neighbors called a skilled hunter. By his own later words, he acted after an explosive confrontation when his girlfriend moved out. That afternoon, people had gathered at the trailer where his estranged partner, Ignacia Vasquez Sandoval, was removing her belongings. Family members were helping, lives in boxes and trucks, ordinary and mundane. The ordinary day shattered. Witnesses later described a sudden burst of gunfire and chaos. Ignacia, 36, was shot while kneeling as if praying. Her daughter Mary Ellen, 19, tried to flee with her 5-month-old son, Justin. Both were found dead. Mary Ellen's boyfriend, Macario Mickey Gonzalez, and Ignacia's sister, Cheryl Rendon, were also killed. Ignacia's 13-year-old son, Eloy, was wounded but survived. A U-Haul and vehicles that should have held nothing but family possessions became the scene of carnage. Deputy Jerry Martinez of the Rio Arriba County Sheriff's Department arrived to serve a temporary restraining order that Ignacia had obtained days earlier. The restraining order was meant to keep Abeyta away. She had alleged he had shot at her and her relatives just days before. When Martinez returned to the property, he was ambushed and shot twice at close range. Minutes later, State Police Officer Glenn Huber, responding to the shots, sat in his patrol car and was fatally struck by a rifle round from a distance. According to investigators, Huber was hit through the side of his head from roughly 200 yards away, a shot made with terrible precision. Neighbors and officers described the scene as chaotic and surreal. A rural trailer lot ringed by police, officers sweeping the hills and fields, helicopters searching through nightfall. Abeyta slipped away initially, prompting a large manhunt. For nearly a day, the community feared he might remain at large. Then, about 24 hours after the killings, Abeyta surprised authorities. He turned himself in at a state police office in Albuquerque late Sunday evening. He was taken into custody without incident. At trial in November 1991, prosecutors presented the case that the killings had been the culmination of escalating domestic violence. Abeyta testified in his own defense and alternately described the shootings as self-defense or accidental for some victims. The jury rejected those claims. He was convicted of multiple counts. For counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of second-degree murder, and 1 count of involuntary manslaughter, the charge connected to the infant victim. In December 1991, he received a total sentence of 146 years in prison. The victims' names are etched in the community's memory. Ignacia Vasquez Sandoval, 36. Mary Ellen Sandoval, 19. Macario Mickey Gonzalez, 18. Justin Gonzalez, 5 months. Cheryl Rendon, 24. Deputy Jerry Martinez, 30. State Police Sergeant Glenn Huber, 35. Survivors and witnesses told reporters about small, unforgettable details. The baby found beneath a truck, the frantic running of those who escaped through windows, the sound of officers' radios, and the sudden march of police cars into a town and used to such horror. For officers who arrived that day, the images stayed with them. The brutality of losing colleagues, the shock of seeing a baby among the slain. The massacre forced the community to confront the deadly escalation that domestic violence can bring. In the years since, Chimayó residents and law enforcement have looked back at that January day as a lesson about danger in domestic disputes and about the risk officers face when serving protective orders. Court records and news coverage from the time show that Abeyta had prior run-ins with police, arrests for assault and harassment, but had not been convicted on those counts in a way that prevented the tragedy that day. Abeyta pleaded, at trial, that some killings were not intentional. The jury convicted him on the heavier counts and imposed a long, consecutive sentence designed to ensure he would never be free again. His case remains one of New Mexico's most notorious mass slayings, a grim reminder of how ordinary life can be abruptly and irrevocably destroyed. For the families and the officers who died, the community held funerals and memorials. Officer Glenn Huber was honored with full military and police rights. His funeral procession stretched for miles, a sign of the respect and sorrow of a grateful but grieving region. This is a heavy story about ordinary people and a sudden, horrific rupture caused by domestic violence. If you make a video from this script, be mindful and respectful, name the victims, note the verified facts, and make clear where you are adding dramatic emphasis. If you want more shocking stories like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next.